Michigan women who were active in the early labor struggles planted the seeds for the women's movement. During the Flint sit-down strike in 1939, the Women's Brigade helped bring General Motors to the bargaining table and pave the way for the United Auto Workers to ultimately represent millions of Americans. Women stayed active in the labor movement and learned to organize. They also discovered the power of collective action. During World War II, Michigan women entered the plants and took their place on the assembly lines, replacing the men who went off to war. Rosie the Riveter was on the front lines in Detroit's auto factories as they became the arsenal of democracy. Things changed when the war ended. Women were expected to go home, and the men returned to claim their jobs.
A lot of labor union women didn't go home. They stayed, and they organized. And the United Auto Workers had a women's department from the 1930s on. They have had a women's department. They have always been concerned about issues related to working women.
UAW President Walter Reuther nurtured the growth and development of the women's movement in Michigan.
From the very beginning, Walter's concept of unionism extended to total community involvement and was done on the basis of equity for all persons, and certainly that there be elimination of any kind of bigotry, whether it be anti-Semitism, racial, and all discrimination.
With Reuther's support, Dorothy Hayner and Caroline Davis from the UAW helped found the National Organization for Women, NOW, in 1966.
The first NOW office was actually at UAW headquarters in Solidarity House. They were so helpful because they understood the need for women to pull together and organize and advocate for themselves.
NOW chapters began to spring up around the country. Michigan NOW was launched in 1969. Noted portrait artist Patricia Hill Burnett, a former Miss Michigan and runner-up for Miss America, helped found Michigan NOW.
One day I was driving along with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how we weren't so happy with our husbands at all, and what we could do about it. And we said, let's call Betty Friedan and see if we could start a NOW chapter in Michigan.
That was our entire discussion. So she said, well, since I brought it up, I'll be president. I said, okay, I'll be vice president.
They held their first NOW meeting in Detroit's elite professional artist enclave, the Scarab Club.
The delicious thing is that it was purely a man's club, and I was the first one to have a studio there. And they were rather horrified to find out that we started this radical feminist movement in their club. Come if they let me out.
Burnett's charm eventually won them over. She didn't fit the feminist stereotype most people expected.
They're made so beautifully.
She was just an outstanding, warm, beautiful woman who, it turned out, of course, she was Miss Congeniality, I forgot, when she was Miss Michigan, was a wonderful contrast to the image of the bra-burning feminist. Actually, we were all called women's livers.
We started having rap sessions, and women would come in with bruises all over them. One came in with a broken arm, and one came in with 2 of her front teeth missing, who were really abused women who talked about what they were living through.
Out of the consciousness-raising sessions, we had a lot of women come who were abused. And amazingly, this was 1970, there were no safe houses.
I decided to join NOW and to be a part of this task force that was dealing with the issues of violence against women. There was no place for anybody to go. And initially with the task force, we were trying to find places that would be suitable, alternatives for women.
They convinced the YWCA in downtown Detroit to change its focus from serving as a residence for young women moving to the city to providing a safe house for battered women and their children. Police attitudes toward domestic violence also had to change.
What needed to be changed was the attitude that indeed there was a victim. We had to teach them how to listen to this. We had to teach them how to indicate which was telling the truth. If the man's knuckles were bruised, then we could tell that violence had taken place. Those are things that they never looked at before. And this, in Detroit, was one of the first of the places that there was training taking place.
Domestic violence affected women throughout the state. Burnett was appointed to the Michigan Women's Commission and launched a fact-finding study on domestic violence. It revealed that it was a statewide issue. Burnett's passion for women's issues helped create a climate for change.
It took the women's movement, I think, for me to realize how, well, that we're truly all sisters. We have all the same problems in any nation, in any race, any language. We really do have the same problems and the same goals.